controversial topic this go around. Welcome back. We are going to cover a controversial subject that has been going around in the photography industry probably forever, but a new wave of it has been coming in. And I think it could just be because of maybe where the world is feeling like it's headed, people maybe trying to brace for impact, for whatever reason it's coming back up, is money, is debt, is people needing money to work on their marketing in their business, needing money to better their gear so that they can better their craft, so that they can charge more. Money has just been a huge topic lately, and I'm ready to talk about it. So let's dive right in. So first and foremost, I can promise you right now that I'm probably going to go against 99.8% of what all of you have ever been told your entire life. I actually was told this my entire life, which is why it was such a hang up for me in the beginning of starting my business. But now that I understand finances and actually understand business, I do not stress about it anymore. So we're going to talk about debt. We're going to talk about starting a business or trying to grow and kind of change your business, and worrying about those funds and worrying about possibly getting into debt to make those changes. So what have we been told our whole lives? That debt is the devil. We're going to die if we get into debt. Avoid it, avoid it, avoid it, avoid it. That is what we have been told our entire lives. And right now we're in a really, really unique time because the cost of things is going up and people aren't necessarily getting paid more. So the savings that people maybe had 4 or 5 years ago is kind of probably starting to dwindle, which is why maybe this subject is coming up to begin with, because people are feeling the pressure, they're getting a little stressed out, and I want to be here to be your de-stressor, because I want to let you know that debt is not an enemy. In fact, it's actually very beneficial and can help your business grow. So one of the things that on top of the debt question and the budget and money question that I get overall is like, well, what if I do get into debt and I am unable to pay it back? Here's the thing. I will be truly candid with every single one of you because that's the kind of person that I am. Number one, if you have started a business on your own, you are already gambling. Okay. You are betting on yourself. You are betting on the fact that you are going to take any funds that you get, reinvest it into your business wisely so that that return makes sense. It is no different with debt. Now, like I said, with the times that we're in, and maybe possibly because people are starting to get nervous, or maybe, around this time of year, leads or bookings typically start to come in a little bit slower than normal, which it's always been that way. Around the holidays, people don't typically book because they're getting ready for, Christmas, New Year's. And then after that, they need some time to recover because we all know they've probably gotten themselves into debt over buying gifts. So outside of that, once, the end of February starts to pick back up, leads start coming back in. But for some reason, this year in particular, at the end of 2022, beginning of 2023, a lot of questions that we had coming in, not only from, people that we were mentoring, our students that we mentor, but also at conferences that we were teaching at, workshops that we were teaching at. This question kept coming up, and it's an extremely controversial subject. So I'm going to use myself as an example. So while I didn't have 2 pennies to rub together, I grew up with just about nothing. If you don't know my story or my husband's story or our story, listen to our podcast. It's on here. And you'll kind of know a little bit more about my background. We did not have a lot of money starting into our marriage either. My husband got paid like $35-ish thousand a year, for the brief time, which it really wasn't that brief, but for the time that I worked for a large bridal company, I was getting paid $365 every 2 weeks. somehow I stayed because I thought that I guess I was more comfortable with the security of having a paycheck every 2 weeks versus the idea that I may or may not make money, especially not having any money to invest. And unless if you guys, I mean, and there may be a few of you, unless if you guys are coming from like 6-figure jobs where you've got like 50K sitting in the bank, the rest of us that have that creative mindset more than likely are really literally starting from the ground up. And if you haven't noticed, money doesn't grow on trees. So where do you expect it to come from? If you are waiting to start your business or to change or grow your business based solely off of savings or hoping that, this money is just going to fall out of the sky, you're going to be waiting for a pretty long time. If I was to wait on just savings to start my business would have never started because we lived paycheck to paycheck. There was no savings. We didn't have savings. So what did I do? I went and got a credit card. It was a very low credit card because, like I said, I was raised to only pay cash for everything. I didn't even own a credit card when I got married. That's how crazy it was. I didn't know anything about credit. I was never taught anything about it. All I ever heard was, avoid debt, avoid debt, avoid debt. So I was literally terrified of debt. And that was what held me back for so long. So once I kind of got over that fear, and really it was my husband who was like, listen, you've got to bet on yourself. And that struck a chord with me. And I was like, I do need to bet on myself. And while I obviously am not the most confident person in the world, for whatever reason, that gave me some form of confidence. I'm so thankful for my husband because he gave me that boost that I needed, that I was like, you know what? Okay, I can do this. So what did I do? I got a credit card. And of course, my husband tried to help me as much as he could. Like I said, paycheck to paycheck. Anything outside of that, if we went out with our friends to dinner, credit card. So we already had debt. It wasn't like an insane amount because we didn't really have that much credit, that much debt that we could even get into. But for us, any debt was already too much. So it was a risk. It was a gamble. It was a bet. And I made a bet on myself because my husband said, if you're going to do this, you're going to do it the right way. You're going to go all the way in. And I did. So I took my little $500 credit card and I used it to build sessions that were unique, that people were not seeing. I used it for gas money. I used it for time because in the beginning I was doing a lot of photographing that was on my dollar, my dime, which I didn't have any. It was a credit card. And then once I was able to do that though and kind of like build my portfolio, get some knowledge underneath my belt, understand my craft, I started to book people and I was able to pay down that credit card. And then eventually I got a personal loan so that I could level up my gear, get better gear so that I could produce better images. Now, guys, you know how I feel about this. Your gear is not what makes the photographer. You could literally hand somebody a 30-year-old camera. That's not going to be what makes them a good or bad photographer. Gear just makes your life easier. It's more functional, right? The more it goes on, it's just like anything else, like new phones, all new technology. It's just, they make things easier for you. So once I got new gear, then I was like, oh man, I can produce this so much quicker without having to do X, Y, Z. Same thing with my lighting, my off-camera flash. I was able to improve those things because I made a risk. I took a risk, took out a personal loan, ended up paying the loan off like 5 times. I think it was like a 5-year loan. I paid it off in a year because of the income that I was bringing in, because I also used those funds to build my website and start SEO and market myself properly. So yes, it is a risk. But I'm going to tell you, it's always worth betting on yourself because you have one of two options. You can either stay in the job or whatever it is that you're doing to bring in income that you have not built, but you're working for somebody else. That isn't a guarantee either. Honestly, that's a gamble in itself because you can be let go. There is no promises when you are working 9 to 5, I don't care how long you've been working for them. No guarantees there. That's a gamble in itself. Or you could bet on you, go into some debt, build something, invest it well. I don't want you to be like, oh my gosh, Karen told me that I can go run up a $10,000 credit card and I'm just going to buy gowns for my maternity clientele. That's not what I mean. Invest it smart. Invest smartly in your business. Better your marketing, better your gear, better your knowledge. Get understanding of your craft. Take the time to create a brand. Build who you are. Use those funds to build who you are. And when you do that, then that money will start to come back to you. So I am that one person that's going to tell you money, you're always going to be able to find money. And it may not be in the same sums as if you're working for yourselves, but worst case scenario, if all else failed and you went back and got a job, you're always going to be able to make money. It's kind of like that meme that we see circling around all the time. Go ahead and travel. Money will return. Time doesn't. It's the same principle. You just apply it to the creative field. Now, where it's going to determine for you is, can your mind handle that? Truly, that's the biggest kind of F up that people run into, is that they mentally have a struggle with the idea of they're not sure exactly when their money is going to come in. And it's like that for the first couple of years as you're building your business, as you're building your clientele. So you have to decide, is it worth it for you mentally? Are you mentally able to deal with that? Is that a stressor for you that you just physically, mentally are not going to be able to deal with? For me, I'm a little bit of a risk taker. It ended up working out okay for me. Now, I busted my butt. I didn't fall ass backwards into this. I worked hard and I worked smart. I invested where I needed to. But I'm a risk taker and I will be forever. So that's what you have to decide. So don't let anybody tell you, oh my God, debt is the devil. I wouldn't be where I am today if I did not choose to get into debt years ago. And I'm going to tell you right now, there's going to be a time again where we're going to have to probably get another loan to build another portion of our business to a level that we wouldn't have been able to without having some form of funds coming in that we needed. That was more than what we were pulling in. I work with companies all across the United States, multi-million, billion-dollar companies. Even they get into debt. They will get a loan to buy property, to get land, to do land development, whatever the case may be. And they have no problem getting those $1 million loans because they know it's going to come back 10, 20 fold back to them. That is the mentality you have to have, but you have to understand, are you able to mentally deal with that? So I know I'm probably going to cause some friction by telling people that debt is not the devil, but hey, controversial subjects normally need to be talked about, and I'm going to tell you the truth about them. So until next time, something to think about. We'll see you guys later.